Have inland tropical storm warnings. That's showing up in the red all the way up to Wilmington in North Carolina. We do have the hurricane warnings, obviously, down toward the Florida Panhandle, but even southwest Georgia and southeastern Alabama. Be prepared for hurricane force conditions. Tallahassee, the state capital, it's also a shelter. There are shelters open here for those fleeing from the coast, but even here, the weather's going to get nasty with the 5 to 8 inches of rainfall, and that will come through tonight. All right, time now for your day ahead forecast. It's all about the inland cities that will also be impacted by Michael. And you can see Charlotte, we do have a tropical storm watch in effect, by the way, so look for conditions to go downhill quickly later tonight, into tonight, and more storms tomorrow as well. We've got more live team coverage of Hurricane Michael. We are waiting the newest advisory from the National Hurricane Center any moment now, but again, right now, a dangerous Category 4. We'll be right back.
This program brought to you by Prevagen, the name to remember.
You might take something for your heart, your joints, or your digestion. So why wouldn't you take something for the most important part of you, your brain? With an ingredient originally discovered in jellyfish, Prevagen has been shown in clinical trials to improve short-term memory. Prevagen, healthier brain, better life.
Dun, da, dun. Come make a whisk and make them bounce. Pride on your lips, come make that sound. Drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it. You gotta work it, work it, work it, work it, work it.
Ready to Juvederm it? Correct age-related volume loss in cheeks with Juvederm Voluma XC. Add fullness to lips with Juvederm Ultra XC. And smooth moderate to severe lines around the nose and mouth with Juvederm XC. Tell your doctor if you have a history of scarring or are taking medicines that decrease the body's immune response or that can prolong bleeding. Common side effects include injection site redness, swelling, pain, tenderness, firmness, lumps, bumps, bruising, discoloration, or itching. As with all fillers, there is a rare risk of unintentional injection into a blood vessel, which can cause vision abnormalities, blindness, stroke, temporary scabs, or scarring. Juvederm it. Talk to your doctor about the Juvederm collection of fillers.
Hi, I just wanted to tell you that Chevy won a J.D. Power Dependability Award for its midsize car, the Chevy Malibu. I forgot, Chevy also won a J.D. Power Dependability Award for its light-duty truck, the Chevy Silverado. Oh, and since the Chevy Equinox and Traverse also won, Chevy is the only brand to earn the J.D. Power Dependability Award across cars, trucks, and SUVs 3 years in a row. Third time's a charm.
AT&T provides edge-to-edge intelligence covering virtually every part of your retail business, so that if your customer needs shoes and he's got wide feet, and with edge-to-edge intelligence, you've got near real-time inventory updates, and he'll find the same shoes in your store that he found online, he'll be one happy, very forgetful, wide-footed customer. AT&T provides edge-to-edge intelligence. It can do so much for your business, the list goes on and on. That's the power of and.
Drive away in a new Ford at our lowest prices of the year. It's model year-end closeout time at Alpaca Ford Royal Palm Beach and Alpaca Ford West Palm Beach. Get our biggest discounts on every new Ford.
Drive a new Escape, now just $20,955 or $199 a month. Or a new F-150, just $29,955 or $299 a month.
In Royal Palm Beach and West Palm Beach. And remember,
before you buy, price Packer.
Why do I love to shop? QVC presents Fanny Shoes on sale. I shop for my aunt and for all those affected by breast cancer, because each pair we buy helps bring us one step closer to a cure. And you can't do it all barefoot. There are great designer brands at least 50% off. So let's conquer cancer together in style. Tune in Thursday, October 11th and shop now on QVC.com.
Breaking news for National Hurricane.
All the rain in the forecast created the opportunity for the perfect crime.
Storm of Suspicion. All new episodes Sunday nights at 8.
Currently in our area, 81 degrees with showers. Today, thunderstorms developing in the afternoon. High 90. Chance of rain 80%. Tonight, partly cloudy. Low 78. Winds south at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Thursday, thunderstorms developing in the afternoon. High 90. Chance of rain 80%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Michael coverage continuing here on the Weather Channel. Breaking news, and it's not good news. We now have a wind of 145 miles per hour with this hurricane. Pressure down to 933 millibars. 933 millibars. That's 5 millibars lower than what Hazel came into the coastline with back in 1954. And if this pressure holds or drops even further, it would be the lowest pressure ever to be associated with an October landfalling hurricane. Not to mention, it would be the only Cat 4 to hit the Panhandle. So before I get to the rest of my graphics, I want to break, and I want you to see what's going on here in Panama City now that we've got a little bit of light. Now, Brad, you're just going to pull off me. We're going to go over toward the pier. All right, this is probably about 2 miles from me as the crow flies, maybe between 1.5 miles and 2 miles. But you can see the waves coming in. Of course, we just got a band of heavier rain. But if the waves in the foreground clear enough, what you will see is the water literally lapping on the underside of the pier. That's how high the water is right now. Okay? That's coming in from the ocean. Unbelievable power. All right, Brad, so pulling out. The other thing I want to show you, too, is how high the water is here right at the beach and our perspective from our hotel. So you've got the dunes, and then you've got these blocks of wood that are, basically our chairs in the summer that they put out. Those are going to be gone. They're going to be gone. And so probably is the decking to the left of that that we walked down yesterday onto the beach. There's a very good chance that will not be with us either, because the water is already coming up to the dune lines. It's already coming up to the dune lines here. And we know that we have not maximized the surge yet. We've got about a 2.5 to 3 foot water rise here at Panama City, and we know it's going to get 6 to 9 feet. And the waves that you see are on top of that. All right, so let's get into this again, guys. If you're just joining us, 145 mile per hour Cat 4 hurricane with a pressure of 933 millibars. If it landfalls at this will be the lowest pressure on record of any October hurricane. Okay, period. Notice there is still on the radar lightning around that center. So that right there tells me, even without the plane, that you've still got an intensifying hurricane. Opal had a lot of lightning with it. It almost was a Cat 5. So this thing is still intensifying, and it's within that core that you see the lightning there is where we expect to get the winds of 145. Where that comes ashore, God help us. All right? Think about Charlie. Think about Charlie back in 2004. It's going to be like a buzzsaw. It's going to be like a tornado. All right, it's going to be like an EF3 tornado coming ashore in this area. All right, so here's what we got. Here's the wind field. Once it gets to the coast, the wind field spreads out. So you see that white area pretty much become all red. But that's wind of 74 miles per hour or greater. And that goes right up across Tallahassee. That comes right up to Albany and Waycross. Here's the deal. Past midnight tonight, you don't want to be on I-75. Past 5 o'clock this afternoon, you don't want to be on I-10 west of Tallahassee. This is a very dangerous hurricane, and the wind field's going to take a while to wind down. Big cities, Columbia, maybe Charlotte, Raleigh, Wilmington, North Carolina, who dealt with Florence, also has a tropical storm warning out because of the wind field with this thing. Stephanie, again, we're in uncharted territory with this for the Florida Panhandle. Somewhere between you and me, the coast will be forever changed.
That it will. And Jim, it might no longer be between you and me. I might be joining you because where we are situated and the fact that this is gaining strength and it has that potential to become a Category 5. Where we're standing is going to be underwater. All right, so, these are one of the older homes with the wooden pylons. Everything is elevated here. And yes, the wave action and everything's going to be a problem. But when you have a Category 4 winds at 145 miles an hour coming in, maybe greater than that if this goes to a Cat 5. I mean, where we're located, we're up a hill. I'm not worried whatsoever about the water with us. That house we're staying in was built in 2014. hurricane straps, I mean, as solid as you're going to get. But the reality is when you have a high-end Cat 4, you have a Cat 5 potentially coming in. You know, there are weaknesses. I mean, Mother Nature is always stronger than what we can provide. So we're going to make some decisions when it comes to this, but roofs could be ripped off. Even if even if they are rated, debris that could be flying around, can cause damage. When the water comes up, there's debris in it, and, it can hit your house, and then that can cause damage. There's all sorts of things that happen during these hurricanes. So this one is not to be messed with. We are talking Category 4. We had 2 last year, but before that, it wasn't until Charlie back in 2004, back on the west coast of Florida. We've never had a Category 4 make landfall here in the Panhandle of Florida. I've had questions on Twitter and Instagram and on Facebook and all that. Opal in 95, that was a Cat 3. Ivan was a Cat 3. That made landfall actually in Alabama, tore apart Pensacola. Dennis in 2005, Cat 3, all Cat 3s. We've never had a Cat 4 here. So we're going into territory that we just don't know about. We're going to be back with more live coverage after this break.
What does Help for Heart Failure look like? It looks like this. Entresto is a heart failure pill that helps keep people alive and out of the hospital. Don't take Entresto if pregnant. It can cause harm or death to an unborn baby. Don't take Entresto with an ACE inhibitor or aliskiren, or if you've had angioedema with an ACE or ARB. The most serious side effects are angioedema, low blood pressure, kidney problems, or high blood potassium. Ask your doctor about Entresto.
The beat goes on.
Yeah.
Your insurance rates skyrocket after a scratch so small you could fix it with a pen. How about using that pen to sign up for new insurance instead?
For drivers with accident forgiveness, Liberty Mutual won't raise their rates because of their first accident.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
With catering delivery from Olive Garden, we make the food and deliver right to your door. So you won't have to lift a finger, just a fork.
It was here. I couldn't catch my breath.
It was the last song of the night. Felt like my heart was skipping beats.
They said I had AFib.
What's AFib?
I knew that meant I was at a greater risk of stroke.
I needed answers
My doctor and I chose Xarelto.
to help keep you protected from a stroke.
Once daily Xarelto, a latest generation blood thinner, significantly lowers the risk of stroke in people with AFib not caused by a heart valve problem. Warfarin interferes with at least 6 of your body's natural blood clotting factors. Xarelto is selective, targeting just one critical factor. For AFib patients well managed on warfarin, there is limited information on how Xarelto compares in reducing the risk of stroke. Don't stop taking Xarelto without talking to your doctor, as this may increase your risk of stroke. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. Xarelto can cause serious and, in rare cases, fatal bleeding. It may increase your risk of bleeding if you take certain medicines. Get help right away for unexpected bleeding or unusual bruising. Do not take Xarelto if you have an artificial heart valve or abnormal bleeding. Before starting, tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures and any kidney or liver problems.
Learn all you can.
To help protect yourself from a stroke.
Talk to your doctor about Xarelto.
Olay Deep Hydrating Eye Gel breaks through the competition. Olay Eyes with B3 Complex hydrates better than $100, $200, even $400 eye creams. That's something to see. Olay.
If your mouth is made to amaze, let Philips Sonicare give its care a raise. If your teeth chew beyond their limit, then they've earned 62,000 movements a minute. If your mouth's used to a manual clean, treat it to microbubbles that feel great in between. If your amazing mouth does more than its share, give it Philips Sonicare. Next level clean, next level care. There's always a way to make life better. Philips Sonicare.
The worst thing in my mind is the unbelievable storm surge that we're going to get.
It's only going to get worse, way worse, by the way, before it gets better.
This is uncharted territory.
This is historical. We have a monster Category 4 with winds at 145 miles an hour headed right towards the panhandle of Florida. Could this become a Category 5? There is a possibility. Okay, there is a possibility. We're talking winds over 155, 156. So this is something we're watching very closely right now. Meteorologist Stephanie Abrams in Port St. Joe, meteorologist Jim Cantori is in Panama City Beach, and meteorologist Kelly Cass is in studio for you this morning. This is an extremely dangerous situation. It's going to be historic. We've never had a Category 5 make landfall in the Panhandle, Florida, ever. Doesn't matter what the month is. In October, there's only been 4 known Category 4s to make landfall. The last one was in '54 in the Carolinas. Before that, it was Louisiana and Florida, back in the 1800s. So this is very rare, and it's going to be very destructive. Jim Cantori is about 30, 40 miles off to my east. Now, could they get into the eye wall? That's the worst of the winds. It's possible. But a little shift here or there is going to make a huge difference. Whoever gets that eye wall is the worst of the weather. When we're talking about winds, surge is a whole other component. Let's talk about what we know right now. Governor Rick Scott, last hour on the Weather Channel, he he said, "It's too late to get out, hunker down on the coast." The governor says 19,000 utility workers are pre-positioned to handle the outages. 6 airports in North Florida have shut down. They've scrubbed more than 150 flights scheduled for today. And Airbnb has activated its no-fee program for hurricane evacuees. Let's go to Jim now to talk more about this. And Jim, it is going to be a breezy day. The hurricane force winds extend out, 45 miles, tropical storm force winds out some 200 miles. But that eye wall is where you are going to be seeing homes in shambles. Think of Charlie. Think of the damage that we saw in Charlie in the west coast of Florida. Irma in the Keys, roofs ripped off. This is going to be absolutely and utterly devastating, not to mention the wave action and the surge.
This is not a meteorological definition by any means, but it's a way of maybe giving our viewers, Steph, a look at what could happen. So within the hurricane that Stephanie just described, essentially what you've got is a 5 to 10 mile wide EF3 tornado. And this is what reminds me a lot of Charlie, that inner core that's that wide, that's going to have those 145 mile per hour winds and gusts. And the other thing, too, that we should mention with this new advisory that's out, first of all, the pressure down to 933. So this thing has bombed big time. Big time. We're over 33 millibars in the last 24 hours. So we've also got a rise now in the storm surge. Because we've come up so far, now you've got the potential of getting a 14-foot storm surge. That extra foot and waves on top of that could make all the difference in the world in you losing your house or you drowning. So again, like the governor said, it may be too late. The only exception I would make to that rule is if you know you've got a short distance to go, you know exactly where you're going, and you can get there. If not, you need to hunker down exactly where you're at and deal with it. Again, now behind me, guys, I'm not going to go to the video here, Tracy. I'm going to show everybody this very, very angry Gulf of Mexico here. If you've ever been to the Emerald Coast, this is some of the most beautiful aquamarine water and the whitest sand you've ever imagined, okay? Look at it today. It's a mess, and it's telling you it's about to take a bite out of these beautiful beaches. We've already got wave runoff all the way to the dunes. All right, some of this wood that we have out here, that are these, chairs that people lay in, lawn chairs, if you will, they're going to be gone. Some of this decking, it's going to be gone as well. There's no way we're going to have that. And we're sitting here on the top of this deck at 9 feet. We could have water higher than that should this system jog to my left. All right, let's get into this. Again, coming in between 1 and 4 this afternoon, that's what we're looking at. The radar presentation pretty much confirms what Steph's fears are in the fact that could this intensify to a 5? Yes. You can see the lightning in the eye wall. That's a sign of intensification. We know the hurricane hunters are out there. Notice the bands. We've already had gusts over 50 miles per hour at Apalachicola. There's also a band just offshore of Apalachicola now that has winds that are even higher than that. They're going to gust to 60. So as we approach the lunchtime hour, winds get stronger and stronger and stronger. As the storm comes inland, it's not going to disappear. That's why the hurricane warnings continue all the way into Georgia. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with those now. Could they expand them across the southern part of the state, all the way to the South Carolina line? We'll see. We'll see, because this thing's just not going to collapse, all right? So here we go. Again, guys, be careful. Take this thing serious. If you stayed and you decided to stay, I sure hope you had a very good reason to do that. But hopefully you left, because that was the order, and it's the order here in Bay County, Panama City Beach. A lot of people down here. It's amazing when I think back to just 2 days ago how packed this area was. I was talking to the county commissioner yesterday. He goes, Jim, we had 125,000 people here. 125,000 just visiting for fall break. They're gone. They're gone. As we look now at the precipice of a historic hurricane coming into this area in just a few hours. So, Stephanie, you heard the storm surge rise of 14 feet. You could be in that max area of surge, and there's going to be waves on top of that.
Yeah.
So give us a picture of what you may see certainly floating around you up on top of that hill in that house.
If we stay here, Jim. Well, you know, something like this. This is an older home that is right on the beach. We're on the other side of 98, and this is one of those wooden pilings, and they have some lattice work. I mean, you know, let's hope this home stays standing, but you get debris like the lattice work, maybe some wooden pilings, you know, stuff like that could get tossed around. And let's talk about when the timing is going to happen with all of this, with our hurricane coming ashore, perhaps this afternoon between that 1 and 4 time period. It's going to be bad, guys. It's going to be bad. If you get in that eye wall, you're going to then get into the eye. Potentially, if you go over the center circulation, if you just stay in one of those eye walls on either side of this the whole time, it's going to be terrifying. I mean, at least it's coming in during the day. That helps a little. That it's not in the middle of the night. The National Weather Service in Tallahassee, we wouldn't be shocked if they issued what we call an extreme wind warning. They'll do that for just 2 or 3 hours. And it'll be just right before landfall, meaning this is it. This is when you're going to have the worst of the weather. The only saving grace is that this is moving very quickly. So as you can see, you know, into the evening hours, this is really basically on the border of Georgia, Florida. Tropical storm force winds are stretching all the way into the Carolinas. There is the possibility this is going to be a tropical storm all the way over into the Atlantic. Hurricane force winds into southern Georgia. And again, we've already seen those wind gusts 50, 60 miles an hour. And that, of course, is just going to continue here. Surge is going to be the next problem. So the house that we've been showing you all morning, 24 feet high. Of course, we don't anticipate the surge to get that high. So when it comes to the surge, you know, you're going to see all different types of damage, Jim. You're going to have the surge damage, you're going to have the wave damage, and then just the straight wind damage. Remember Cantori and Florence, we were in a Category 1. And all the stuff that was flying around in that Category 1. We are now exponentially stronger with a 4, and you can't rule out a 5 at this point.
All right, Steph, I'm going to do this probably for the first time ever on air. The only thing you didn't mention there, which was a great brief, is the fact that the wind that we have with this has a very likely chance of taking the roofs off of some of these buildings. All right, maybe even the one that you're in. Okay, so once you lose the roof, you lose everything. The walls are coming down, and then if you've got waves and surge beating up against that, you're taking structures down, and everything becomes a big floating mess. So I would feel safe being with you as my partner if you actually came up here. Now, I want to show you what we've got. All right, go ahead, Brad. Turn right up here, and let's show everybody. We've got a hotel. This isn't a panacea, all right, but it's up high. We're 30 feet up. You know, the windows are, this is a newer hotel, so the windows are rated for a major hurricane. They're hurricane resistant, as they call them down here. And we've got plenty of rooms, and we got plenty of room for you and your crew. So, Steph, should you guys decide to get out of there, just because I can hear it in your voice, I know you, we will welcome you with open arms here. But you got to do it quick. You got to do it quick. You got to get out of there. All right?
Yeah, we're actually going to make the decision here within the next 10 minutes, Jim. And, you know, obviously I appreciate that. And I know, you know, we're all a family here at the Weather Channel. We do anything for any of us. So we're going to make that decision. We're going to talk about this house. It, of course, was built in 2014. Anyhow, we're going to talk about that. But what we do want to talk about now is we want to bring in FEMA Administrator Brock Long. He is joining us now from Washington, D.C. Administrator Long, thank you for being with us this morning. What is the latest with FEMA? How many people do you have stationed? Where are they stationed currently?
Well, right now we have not only teams embedded with Florida Division of Emergency Management and liaisons with our county partners, but we have commodities staged in Maxwell Air Force Base to Atlanta to Orlando. We're also staging disaster medical assistance teams, but more importantly, the search and rescue teams, as we're concerned that people didn't heed the warning. And we're going to have to go in as soon as the storm allows to be able to conduct search and rescue efforts.
I know it's been a tough hurricane season with Florence into this. Knowing you guys, I know that there's no expense spared, even though we've had, a tough one with Florence, and this is coming just a month later.
Yeah, that's right. And unfortunately, Michael's a hurricane of the worst kind. It's not only going to bring devastating storm surge and high winds to Florida, but it's going to move inland, and it's going to be a inland hurricane event for southwest Georgia, central Georgia that they haven't seen in a long time. And then, unfortunately, the rainfall into South Carolina and North Carolina. The Cape Fear River really can't handle any more water, and it was forecast to recede 2 days ago, but this is not going to help.
You mentioned search and rescue, but let's just give people an idea. When they're going through the storm, who should they be calling? Should they be calling 911? Do you guys assist the local authorities? How does that all work for people that need help during the storm, first and foremost?
Well, right now, the most important thing is, Stephanie, we're just trying to get the word out. The window to evacuate is coming to a close very rapidly if it hasn't already closed on them. If they find themselves in danger, they can call 911. That's where they need to call. But but as the system is encroaching, unfortunately, with high winds and water, we can't put first responders in danger, and there's no expectation that they're going to be saved just because they made that call to 911 and chose not to heed an evacuation warning. Obviously, these guys are heroes. They try to do the best that they can, but we can't afford to lose responders trying to save people that chose not to evacuate.
Yeah, understandable. So then after the storm, this is going to be catastrophic. We've been through, unfortunately, a lot of these. We know what it looks like after. It is hard. This Highway 90 could be covered in debris and in sand. What should people do after the storm to get assistance from you guys, to get help, to get food? How does that whole process work? How quick can you get in? Where will you set up? How do people know how to find you?
Well, our first push is going to be airlifting search and rescue teams in, and then also what we call first push debris. So we try to get the major roadway and arteries opened up so that we can move teams and equipment in. When it comes to rendering aid, such as individual assistance, it's going to take a couple days for us to get that system up and running, because we're going to concentrate solely on the life safety efforts of search and rescue. We try to concentrate those areas on where we know storm surge is going to be the greatest, but it's hard to anticipate that, because any wobble of that eye to the west or to the east can dramatically change the impacts in the areas that we have to get into first.